Chapter 11: The Architecture of Arrival. By the 6th year of the Horizon Initiative, the anomaly was no longer described as an object. It was described as a structure. Astronomers stopped using the word incoming. The distortion was not approaching in a conventional trajectory. It was unfolding. The distinction mattered, because something that approaches can be intercepted. Something that unfolds cannot be stopped without tearing the fabric in which it exists. The expanding geometry. New interferometric arrays in orbit around Jupiter provided higher resolution gravitational mapping. The data revealed an unsettling refinement. The distortion was not spherical. It possessed symmetry. 19 primary curvature nodes formed a lattice consistent with the original transmission. Between them were smaller subnodes, secondary harmonics, suggesting hierarchical architecture. It resembled a scaffold. Not chaotic. Not natural. Engineered. Raj projected the latest model into the central chamber. The hologram rotated slowly above the conference table. "Notice the internode resonance," he said. "Each primary curvature point is phase-locked." Ilara observed silently. Phase locking implied coordination. Coordination implied computation. The anomaly was processing something. The propagation mechanism Hermes ran trillions of simulations over months, testing hypotheses. The breakthrough came unexpectedly from a young postdoctoral researcher analyzing quantum vacuum fluctuations. The distortion was not traveling through space-time. It was propagating as a self-reinforcing solution to Einstein's field equations, similar to how a wave travels across water without transporting the water itself. A gravitational soliton. Stable. Persistent. Information-bearing. Ilara summarized it during a global broadcast. It is not a craft crossing distance. It is a pattern rewriting space-time locally, one region at a time. The implication was profound. No engines. No fuel. No inertia. Only mathematics becoming reality. A disturbing correlation. Year 7 brought the first anomaly within the anomaly. Solar neutrino detectors recorded fluctuations synchronized with the distortion's internal oscillations. At first the correlation seemed statistical noise. But the pattern persisted. The soliton was interacting subtly with the sun. Not draining energy. Tuning itself. Like an instrument aligning to a resonance frequency. Raj spoke carefully during the internal briefing. If it harmonizes with our star before arrival, its integration into local spacetime becomes smoother. Smoother meant less violent. But it also meant more permanent. The debate intensifies, political divisions deepened. Some leaders advocated attempting a large-scale curvature disruption, an artificial gravitational pulse designed to destabilize the anomaly before it matured further. Others warned that interfering without full comprehension could trigger catastrophic relativistic feedback. Ilara's position remained consistent. We do not understand the boundary conditions. We will not experiment with planetary-scale physics. Her authority was respected, but not universally accepted. Human fear has always been impatient. The second message. 8 years after the original signal, something changed. A subtle shift occurred in the internal oscillation pattern of the soliton. It was faint, nearly buried in cosmic background noise. Hermes isolated it. The oscillations were no longer static. They were modulating. Slowly. Deliberately. When converted from curvature phase differentials into frequency space, the modulation produced a repeating mathematical series. Not primes this time, a different pattern. The digits corresponded to constants found within the standard model of particle physics: fine structure constant, Planck length, cosmological constant. It was not teaching new physics. It was referencing ours. Raj exhaled slowly. It knows our measurements. Ilara corrected him gently. It anticipated them. The mirror hypothesis. An internal working group proposed a radical interpretation. The anomaly might not be an external construct. It might be a self-assembling mirror. A structure designed to interface with intelligent civilizations once they reached a threshold of scientific maturity. The 19-point lattice had required knowledge of gravitational constants, quantum vacuum energy, and space-time topology. Civilizations incapable of decoding the message would never respond. Those capable of replicating microcurvature fields would. The anomaly was not arriving blindly. It was calibrating to the species that understood it. Experimental escalation by year 9, lattice core 07 achieved sustained curvature manipulation for nearly 30 seconds. Within the stabilized field, exotic matter signatures appeared, brief, localized fluctuations in energy density that did not conform to known particle classifications. They vanished immediately when the field collapsed. But they left measurable residue. Traces of non-local correlation. As if something had briefly touched the edge of the field from elsewhere. Ilara reviewed the data late into the night. If the anomaly is a bridge, she murmured, we may already be standing at the threshold. The acceleration event year 10 delivered confirmation of humanity's greatest fear. The soliton's propagation rate increased sharply. Revised arrival estimate, 9.4 years. No external cause was identified. The anomaly had crossed an internal threshold. Its expansion was self-amplifying. Hermes projected the new timeline across global networks. 9 years, not decades, not distant generations, those alive would witness it. The human response in laboratories across Earth and Luna work intensified. Energy storage systems were redesigned to power curvature fields at planetary scale. Deep space probes were dispatched along the distortions vector, though none survived beyond its outermost gradients. They transmitted only fragmented telemetry before dissolving into incoherent noise. Religious interpretations proliferated. Some called it transcendence. Others called it judgment. Ilara remained focused on the equations. Fear, she believed, was not a variable in physics. A subtle clarity in year 11, a breakthrough emerged not from hardware but from philosophy. A mathematician studying topological manifolds recognized something elegant within the lattice structure. The geometry was not optimized for force. It was optimized for stability. Every curvature ratio minimized energy stress across the manifold. It was gentle, efficient, non-destructive. If the anomaly were a weapon, it was an unnecessarily delicate one. Ilara addressed the consortium quietly. This is not invasion architecture, she said. It is integration architecture. Chapter 12, Convergence. By the 12th year after the first signal, the language surrounding the anomaly had changed again. It was no longer described as a phenomenon, or a structure, or even a soliton. It was referred to as a field. Not a single object, but a distributed presence, subtle, measurable, and increasingly integrated into the background conditions of the solar system. The shift in terminology reflected a deeper realization. The anomaly was not approaching as something separate. It was converging. The gradual imprint precision gravitational instruments placed in orbit around Saturn detected minute alterations in space-time curvature that could not be attributed to planetary mass alone. The distortions were faint, far weaker than those caused by moons or rings, but their geometry matched the 19-point lattice predicted years earlier. The lattice was expanding inward, not violently, not rapidly, but steadily. Each new curvature node appeared only after its harmonic resonance aligned with local gravitational conditions. It was as though the field required environmental compatibility before stabilizing. Raj summarized the finding in a closed session. It is adapting to each region before embedding itself. The implication was subtle but unmistakable. The anomaly was not forcing entry. It was negotiating with the physics of each domain it touched. The threshold experiments. On Earth and Luna, the Horizon Initiative intensified curvature research. Lattice core 09 achieved a sustained microcurvature bubble lasting for minutes. Within the stabilized field, time dilation measured at fractional but consistent variance relative to the external frame. For minutes inside equaled for minutes and a few nanoseconds outside, insignificant for practical use, but profound in principle. It demonstrated that local space-time topology could be altered predictably when the experiment concluded. Hermes compared the curvature profile generated by lattice core 09 to the approaching field's outermost nodes. The match was no longer approximate, it was nearly exact. Ilara reviewed the overlay quietly. "We are no longer studying it," she said. "We are replicating it." A planet under observation. Astronomical surveys revealed an additional detail. High-energy cosmic rays entering the solar system exhibited slight deflection patterns correlated with the anomaly's geometry. The distortion was acting as a lens, subtle but deliberate. Information passing through it was being filtered, not blocked. Refracted. Raj proposed a cautious interpretation. If it can lens radiation, it can observe. The field was not simply embedding itself. It was perceiving the environment through interaction. Observation through physics itself. The human variable. As convergence accelerated, global psychology shifted. Markets stabilized around long-term adaptation models rather than panic scenarios. Universities expanded departments in theoretical physics and cosmology. Enrollment in astrophysics doubled within 3 years. Religious institutions reframed doctrine in light of cosmic integration. Some traditions emphasized humility before a greater order. Others interpreted the event as a confirmation of universal design. Yet amid the intellectual response, a quieter transformation occurred. People began to look at the sky differently. Not with fear. With anticipation. The countdown had become a calendar. The energy question, a persistent mystery, remained. What powered the field? Calculations revealed that sustaining such large-scale curvature modulation would require energy far exceeding stellar output if approached through conventional thermodynamics. But the anomaly exhibited no measurable radiation signature of energy consumption. Hermes proposed an alternative. The field may not consume energy. It may redirect existing vacuum fluctuations. Quantum vacuum energy, longerized but poorly harnessed, permeates space-time. If the anomaly exploited vacuum instability thresholds, it could sustain itself by redistributing energy rather than generating it. In that case, it was not an engine. It was a catalyst. The first resonance event in year 13, something unprecedented occurred. During a coordinated experiment, lattice core 09 activated while the anomaly's outer curvature gradient intersected the orbit of Mars. For 2.3 seconds, the laboratory's field and the cosmic field synchronized perfectly. Sensors recorded a transient spike in coherence. Within the curvature bubble, quantum noise dropped below baseline cosmic background levels. It was as if the laboratory environment had become temporarily isolated from universal randomness. Time inside the bubble did not accelerate or slow. It stabilized. When the synchronization ended, the effect vanished. But the data remained. Ilara spoke carefully during the global address that followed. For a brief interval, our field and the anomaly operated as one system. The meaning was clear. Communication might not occur through radio or light. It might occur through alignment. A revised understanding. Mathematicians re-examined the original 19-point lattice in light of new data. They discovered an overlooked property. The geometry minimized not only energy stress but informational entropy. In other words, it created conditions under which complex systems could operate with reduced randomness. Life thrives on order balanced with chaos. Too much entropy, and structure collapses. Too little, and evolution stagnates. The anomaly appeared tuned precisely at that threshold. Raj summarized it in private. If this field stabilizes fully within our solar system, it could alter the statistical behavior of matter itself. Not dramatically, not visibly, but subtly. Enough to influence probability distributions. Enough to shape the emergence of complexity. The approach without motion. 5 years remained until projected full convergence. Yet astronomers no longer describe the field as arriving. It had already crossed the orbit of Jupiter. It had begun embedding curvature nodes within the asteroid belt. The solar system was becoming part of its architecture. And still, there were no ships. No transmissions. No visible emissaries. Only mathematics integrating with matter. The question of origin. As Chapter 12 progresses, attention turns toward origin. If the field was not a vessel, and not a weapon, what created it? One hypothesis gained traction. The anomaly may be a relic of an ancient civilization, not active in the conventional sense, but self-perpetuating. A distributed system launched eons ago, expanding gradually across galaxies, integrating habitable systems into a network of stabilized space-time domains. Not conquest. Not colonization. Curation. A mechanism designed to cultivate complexity. No evidence confirmed this theory. But the absence of hostility, combined with extraordinary efficiency, made simpler explanations insufficient. Humanity's choice. By year 14, Earth possessed the technological capacity to amplify lattice core fields to unprecedented scales. A final debate emerged. Should humanity initiate full resonance deliberately? If synchronized at planetary scale, the integration could occur instantly rather than gradually. But the consequences were unknowable. Ilara addressed the Horizon Council in a chamber overlooking Earthrise. "We stand at a threshold," she said. "We can allow convergence to proceed naturally, or we can accelerate it. But we must recognize that we are no longer passive observers." The vote was postponed. For the first time, humanity was not reacting. It was participating. The quiet realization. As Chapter 12 closes, the most profound transformation is not technological. It is philosophical. For centuries, humanity searched the cosmos for signals, for spacecraft, for evidence of others. What it found instead was structure. Not a message carved in language, but an invitation written in geometry. The anomaly has entered the inner solar system. Convergence is measurable within Earth's gravitational domain. For years remain until full integration. And for the first time since the first pulse was detected, fear has diminished. Not because uncertainty has vanished, but because the pattern has remained consistent. It aligns. It stabilizes. It integrates. The universe, it seems, may not announce itself with noise. It may simply adjust the equations and wait for a civilization capable of noticing.
Write your questions in the comments. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications for upcoming episodes of the documentary series. New documentaries are released every Wednesday and Friday on this channel.